Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on in the house, grab yourself a ringside seat, sit down under the learning tree, and listen to the prophecies that we've got to tell you today, don't we, Frank?
Oh, yeah, we're ready to bring it to you today. We got news and notes. We got injuries and updates. We got title chases and roads. My God, we got a bowl full today. Are we going to be able to handle it?
I don't know. I think we can make it work.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys can handle it. So turn them radios up. Turn me up in them speakers. Turn me up. Give me one.
Give you one.
One.
All right. So we're going to kick off today's show. We're going to start with a new little segment that we're going to do. So, you know, per the saying goes, the Royal Rumble is the kickoff for the road to WrestleMania. However, here at the Bookers Alliance, we're going to start our road early.
Oh, yeah, because we love the Royal Rumble, so we want to roll right into that. Maybe we need to call it the roll to WrestleMania, because I don't want you saying road too much, because you might keep throwing an S on the back end
Here we go.
Trying to take that little that detour, because I call that a detour to WrestleMania. The actual road to WrestleMania goes through rock country, but we're trying to take that roads detour here. So,
all right, so we're going to call this segment the WrestleMania Chase, and we're going to do this as a weekly segment until we get to WrestleMania 40 in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia.
Brother love?
Yeah, brother.
I love you.
Pritchard, we love you, man.
All right. He started all this podcast stuff for me. I'd never heard a wrestling podcast before his podcast.
You know, it took me a long time to put them two together. The fact that he was brother love.
Did you?
It took me a long time.
I remember seeing him when I was a little guy. Oh, speaking of little guy, man, I forgot I wanted to bring this up. So I didn't realize it till lately. This marks my 40th year as a wrestling fan.
Ooh, 40 years.
I became a fan in '84. So I talked about it here on the podcast before. The Hulk Hogan match, January 23rd, 1984 was the first match I ever saw. So I probably saw it March or something like that on maybe a Superstars.
Right.
And been a fan ever since. So my goodness, this is my 40. By about time WrestleMania comes around, I'll be a 40-year fan.
And that,
good Lord,
that, sir, is why you are the historian.
Well, there you go. Either that or just why I'm old. I mean, whichever way you want to go. But
yeah, I'll get in that same boat with you being old. We getting there.
Yeah. Sadly so.
All right. So our new segment, the WrestleMania Chase. So the last time we left this, it was kind of a heated debate between old Marky Mark here and Frank. We all have our own opinions on what we think is going to happen. But, of course, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
And some of them stink.
Mm-hmm. So we left with Frank swearing up and down that it was going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And the crowd goes wild.
And I'm on the mountain, the hill I'm going to die on, where it's going to be Cody versus Roman 2.
Speaking of stinks,
so an update to this situation. We have seen one story potentially close as far as a chapter within this road to WrestleMania. We saw Shinsuke and Cody lock it up on Monday night in a street fight, which was a damn long fight.
Yeah. That was a long-ass match. My goodness.
That went 20, 25 minutes.
It was even longer for me because I fell asleep during it, so I had to wake up. Not because the match was bored. I mean, don't get me wrong. The match was great. It was just late, and I had to get up early. I was like coming back from vacation week and all. Yeah, it was a rough day. But, I mean, I watched it the following day. I finished it up Tuesday, and, man, yeah, it was quality. But
it was a great match.
Woo, it was long.
So we are still a house divided on even that match because you think that there's going to be some continuation to that story, and I'm of the opinion that they had a stipulation match, and usually that's the blow-off for that storyline.
True, but did we see any mist?
We saw the mist, but we've seen it before, so I'm of the opinion that he learned from that mistake in the prior encounters with Shinsuke, and that's why he was able to dodge the mist. Unfortunately, the guy that got sprayed was actually family to Cody. That was his cousin.
Yeah, that's what I found out. Was it Tugboat or Shockmaster's son, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Don't want to call him Tugboat here. We got to give him his respect because he's the Shockmaster.
Oh, man.
I mean, because he's gone down in wrestling infamy for that little bit of gimmick. So, yeah he's definitely the Shockmaster indeed.
But is it done? Is it not done? Time will tell. We're going to see. But if it is done, that was cool. I appreciated it. I want a revisitation on it, though. I think
you'll get one sometime around like WrestleMania window time, maybe even Elimination Chamber.
I want to see that belt involved, though, the next time they tangle.
Well, the Seth belt's been taken already. It's been kind of tied up. I think they're going to roll with the CM Punk angle into that. But, I mean, they maybe will be able to work the old World Heavyweight Championship into that. But so the low end for me is why they may have, shotgunned the Cody angle on Raw. They're really slow playing the Rock angle on SmackDown because, the question was posed directly to Roman. What do you have to say about your cousin's comments? He didn't say nothing. He
just laughed.
He laughed and walked away. And later on in the day, Paul Heyman commented towards it, but Roman gave it absolutely no credence, as though he didn't even take it seriously.
So typical Godfather response.
Yep.
Laugh at the problem and then have your mouthpiece say what needs to be said.
Yep.
And, I think that's where this is all kind of going to go. I think Paul is going to be the mouthpiece to this storyline for a little while.
Of course.
Until Roman has just kind of at that point where it's like, all right, F it. Enough's enough.
At some point, he's got to engage.
Yeah, enough's enough.
I think that point will be when they're face to face, though. I don't think Roman will really acknowledge it until he has to acknowledge it, because Roman is the acknowledge me man. But when The Rock's standing in front of him, Rock's bigger than Roman. At that point in time, Roman's going to have to look up to his big cousin and acknowledge him.
So I think the face to face is either going to be at the Rumble or at the SmackDown after Rumble.
Or at the Elimination Chamber heading into WrestleMania. So last point, we don't want to linger in this one too long here, but the last point I'm going to make, and what really gave me that extra oomph that, it's definitely happening in WrestleMania. What the hell's the chances of Roman Reigns wrestling at 3 consecutive pay-per-views?
Yeah, you got a point there.
That'll never happen.
You got a point there.
It's in Roman's contract. If Roman wrestles at the Royal Rumble, we ain't seeing Roman again in the ring until Mania. There's no way he wrestles 3 months straight.
Roman has that 180-day title defense clause or something
like
in
that.
there.
But all I know, if he wrestles at 3 pay-per-views consecutively, we ain't seeing his ass again to SummerSlam.
Yeah,
so and I mean, physically, he ain't coming to TV. He ain't going to do no interviews. He won't be on social media. He'll be a recluse until at least August, because he ain't coming out of the woodworks for 3 matches back to back.
Yeah.
That ain't a Roman thing. Roman's in this Hulk Hogan title reign here once for a year. That's what he gives you.
I do think they got to slow play it a little bit, though, because obviously The Rock can't be on there every week.
Yeah, definitely not.
He's got too many commitments. He's got too many businesses going on. And, Rock, if you want to share some Terramana over here to the whole
no kidding,
Alliance,
right? I mean,
we ain't going to turn it down.
We definitely take that endorsement. We'll pump you up. We'll make sure we take your side in this whole feud. I'll swing Marky Mark over for the right endorsement. You'll get right on my page with all of the above for the right endorsement.
You can even come on to the show and talk about Terramana.
Oh, I mean, we got that connection right now. Just give me a call. Hit me up. You got my number.
All right. So that's kind of the road we're on so far. We are strictly flying down the highway at 80 miles an hour, seeing where everything is going to go. Where is it going to land? Who's going to be in what match? Only time will tell. But we here at the Bookers Alliance, we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep the chase and see where it goes.
On the roll to WrestleMania.
All right, so we're going to get into our topic today. Topic title is Got to Be More Careful.
Got to be more careful.
Got to be more careful.
Good Lord, you got to be more careful out here.
Now, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about some injuries that have plagued the pro wrestling community. Some we've seen go down, recently. Some we've seen go down a while ago. But kind of kick this conversation off with... as Bully Ray always says, this ain't ballet.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bruce Prichard says the same thing, and a lot of the old-time wrestlers are going to tell you, it ain't ballet. Injuries are going to happen, but, man, when they start happening in multitude, it's like, well, wait a minute, what's different? I don't remember back in the, we just talked about the Hulk Hogan era with, Roman's title. I don't remember in the Hulk Hogan era, 40 guys out on injury at any given time, maybe 10 of them are your top people. That's different. That's not normal.
So I don't know whether to kind of put this in at the beginning of the conversation or wait to the end to put it in, but I don't know. I think there's a different mentality in today's group of professional wrestlers.
Oh, absolutely. I think that'll be a continuing theme throughout this conversation.
I mean, back then you just grit your teeth and bear it. I mean, that's kind of the mentality, and the show must go on. And
let's be honest, the guys were safer. I mean, 40 years ago, the guys worked.
You didn't see no 4:30 splash.
No, because the guys knew they had to go to work the next night. Back then it wasn't, where you work twice a week type deal. Back then you were working minimum 7 times a week. Ric Flair even says some weeks he worked 10 times in one, in a 7-day span.
He would wrestle 2-3 matches a day.
Doing 2 spots a day. So, I mean, you couldn't afford to be haphazard with your body if you were only getting paid on your appearances. So them guys had to take care of themselves. But technology was different. The rings were harder. There were no mats on the floor. It was more dangerous back then, but the guys got hurt less.
It was
so it's kind of
pace.
it's kind of a catch-22 on that. It was more dangerous then, but the guys got hurt less. It's a lot safer now, but the guys are getting hurt more. What's the caveat in that? What's cranking that motor? And I think it's just the work style.
It's the work style, plus it's the one-upsmanship. It's the fact that, okay, what am I going to do out here to go out here with this other wrestler to steal the show? And how are we going to do that? That's been done before. I don't know. We're going to throw somebody off the cell again. Mick Foley's already did that. So, I mean,
now you got to do a triple Lindy off the cell to get down there safely and
swing somebody in the Cesaro swing.
You do that for an hour. But I mean, that's a safe move. You can do that. Who was it? The big strong boy, or the big strong yes boy that wrestled the other night did an airplane spin for like 20 minutes. And I was like, damn, look at that. Good old fashioned wrestling that still works.
Wasn't that IRS that used to do that too? Airplane spin?
Probably. It could be a while. That might have been his finisher. He definitely did it as Mike Rotunda.
Yeah, Mike Rotunda. That was it.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about some of these wrestlers that are hurt right now and our thoughts on what's going on. I'm going to kick it off with one of my favorites. And unfortunately, this one doesn't look to be a wrestling injury. This is looking like just a straight up health scare, a health injury. And that's Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega right now is out with diverticulitis. And, we've seen that before. A very public person went through that with Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. That costed his UFC career.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to get all medical, and trust me, there's nothing medical about these two gentlemen you are listening to right now.
So you more than me. I mean.
so we're not going to get into the medical aspects of it, but the one thing that I do know is that's something serious, and if it wasn't caught in time, that could have took Kenny Omega's life and just totally, we would be, without him right now in the wrestling
Sometimes
community.
It's beneficial that they're in the wrestling business, because they have to go through those physicals and things like that.
So they can
Meaning
catch
he
stuff.
got that checked out in time to whereas, the average Joe, one of us might have been like, I got a stomach cramp, and it goes all to hell before you even say I'm going to get it looked at. So luckily, because of his profession, he was able to get get an examination, find out what was going on, and get taken care of.
Yep. So, nobody knows how long he's going to be out. He's, coined indefinite right now. Of course, Brock Lesnar, it took him 18, 24 months to finally to get over it. So, will we see him again? Probably. I feel confident in saying that we'll see him wrestle again. Are we ever going to see the Kenny Omega that was?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I don't know.
We'll definitely see him in the ring again, unless he personally takes, a different road. But I don't think he'll be the same guy when he comes back. Apparently this takes a pretty heavy toll on your body. I mean, I remember them even saying Brock lost like 50 pounds when he had it. And I'm like, good Lord, 50 pounds of Brock is a whole lot of muscle. So
well, the other thing is too, and I mean, and this is what they said with Brock, the reason why he had to quit the UFC career is you get punched in the right place, it can totally rupture everything again. So it's just one of those things. So hoping the best for Kenny. Another wrestler that has been out and on the shelf actually for a while now, our New Day brother, Big E, he has been down and out for a while.
I miss Big E, but at this point now, you don't even get updates anymore. So the last I heard was he said he was feeling great, but I mean, when you've been taking bumps as long as he has and putting your body through the kind of stuff he's been putting his body through for the past, 10 so years, when your body ain't doing any of that, of course it feels great. I don't know how his neck's feeling though. I mean, those two are different. Feeling good as a regular person versus feeling good as a wrestler are whole different worlds. I mean, look at Edge.
Yep.
He had a neck injury. I don't know how similar it was. Again, we don't do medical in here, so we don't know about the C4 and the C8. And I know about the C8.
I know about the Corvette. Yeah. See, we car guys.
Right, but as far as up in your spine, don't know.
No.
All I do know is it happened to Edge, and Edge was gone for a decade.
Yeah.
So I hope that don't happen with Big E, but I mean, he's got to take care of himself first. So he's got to take care of his body and his health primarily, and if that means, hey, he's got to be out even longer, hopefully he did the right things with his money and it won't be a big deal for him.
And for those who don't know, Big E basically had a neck injury due to a spot that kind of went wrong. He got, was it a belly to belly?
Yeah, it was a belly to belly. It was supposed to be a throw, but I mean, Big E's a big boy.
Yeah,
so.
and Ridge is a big boy too.
He is, but throwing Big E ain't like throwing Kofi and Xavier. You know what I mean? Yeah. Big E got an extra 100 that he was lifting. Yeah.
Plus,
and it just, he just came down on his neck and shoulder in a funky way.
It happened on the floor too, and I mean, if it had been in the ring, maybe there'd been a little bit more spring in order to flip him over more.
Maybe.
But
there ain't no telling any which way it goes, though. But I mean, unfortunately, bringing up Ridge Holland, that kind of takes us to Ilya Dragunov, from NXT. Now, my understanding was that was a spot that they did with
Story, right?
Ridge. Yeah, because, he came on to Raw and did the same thing. Now he's kind of doing it everywhere. A little bit here, a little bit there. He's just, quote unquote, causing injuries. Fact of the matter is, though, I mean, Ilya was hurt. He had a World Heavyweight Championship against Trick, set up for this week or last week actually, and wasn't able to fulfill it just from a different injury. So.
You think Ilya pulled a Hogan and that don't work for me, brother, and faked the injury?
Nah, not from his workflow in NXT. If it had been on the main roster, maybe. If it had been HBK, definitely.
I'm just saying, Trick's hot right now.
If he'd have came back and said he lost his smile, I'd have said, damn, that came right out of the commissioner's desk. That came right out of the commissioner's office there.
Yep, but 2.0 story there.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, just another injury, but it affected a main event storyline, in NXT, because chances are Trick was probably going to go over and win that title.
Yeah.
And now, a week later, Trick's back with Melo going into Dusty Cup, which means that is on the shelf for a minute.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which means Ilya's probably on the shelf for a minute. So.
Yep. So another one, it's a weird one to talk about because she is currently a free agent and nobody really knows the next place she's going to pop up. And that's Mercedes Moné.
Oh, speaking of her popping up, I know what. Never mind.
PG show.
Yeah,
PG show.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot. Season two. We got to clean it up in season 2, but there's a lot of conversation about where she's going to pop up. I mean, everybody's saying either she signed to AEW already or she's going to be in the Rumble. So you got completely polar opposites right there. And people that are quote unquote in the know are claiming both. So
and
maybe both will happen.
And just like her last name, she is chasing the Moné.
Oh yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Supposedly,
she's chasing her straight to the banks.
Yeah, the contract she's asked for is supposed to be like one of the biggest ever for a female wrestler. So we'll have to see how that all plays up, where she goes. But she was injured in a match when she was in, was it New Japan?
New Japan, yeah. Wrestling Kyrie.
Kyrie, yeah. She broke her ankle, which, in that moment, you really didn't know what happened, but apparently she had to have some surgery on that ankle.
Yeah, it looked bad. I remember she was going up to the top to do a spot and fell off the turnbuckle and went straight to the floor and couldn't get up. And I mean, it looked bad. So... Although that's apparently a theme with the females that we're talking about. Go up to the top rope, have a little accident, and then all of a sudden you're out for a year.
Yes, we'll get to that one he's referencing here in a minute. But
you guys know. You all know.
But with Mercedes Moné, whether it's going to be Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks, we don't know yet. I am excited to see her back on the television screen. She was always a great performer in the ring. I always enjoyed watching her match style, but I will say this. You pop an ankle like that, your mobility, if you don't take your time, your mobility's gone. Yeah. It's not going to come back right.
Yeah, so. She could be like Kenny Omega, we were just saying. Yep. She could come back having to wrestle a totally different style, which, if that were to happen, let's be honest, I'd rather see her in AEW. I mean,
I would too.
The matchups are fresher.
Yeah.
She's got Daniel Bryan over there that would be able to help her with some of that adjustment because, he changed his wrestling style dramatically after his return from injury. So somebody like that over there to help would be really good. I know a lot of you guys are like, wait a minute, don't y'all love WWE and hate AEW? No, we don't. We like wrestling.
Absolutely.
The fact that could you imagine the Sasha Banks, Tony Storm storyline?
Dude.
Or I'm sorry, Mercedes Moné, Tony Banks storyline?
Especially if she flipped straight into that whole black and white picture world as well.
Yep. Could you imagine her and Britt standing in a ring next to each other?
Crazy match.
Yeah, I mean, goodness.
Her and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, so in all honesty, everybody over in WWE, she done wrestled them all already. Yeah. I done seen it all. So if she goes to AEW, that'll be a nice, jolt in the leg for them. That'll definitely give them the star power. It's not going to put them over the edge, so don't anybody misquote us and say, oh, they said WWE's in the tank right now. That ain't going to happen. But it would be awesome to see.
So let's stick with the AEW theme and stick with the ladies theme. There's another lady from over there that's been out for a while, and that's Jamie Hayter.
Yep. She's been out for a long time.
So there was a huge grassroots movement behind Jamie Hayter right when she got injured.
Yep.
The fans really were enjoying what they were seeing out of her. And man, oh man, it just came at a bad time.
They pushed her past Britt Baker. She was supposed to be Britt's like little sidekick or whatever.
Yep.
The fans were so behind her that they couldn't ignore it. They just had to say, you know what? We got to get on this train while it's hot. And then that injury happened.
And rightfully so, though, because her style that she has in the ring, she's a female William Regal. Yeah. She's just very, very aggressive, very hard hitting, just smash mouth type of wrestling.
But she makes it look good too.
Yeah.
It isn't like she's out there reckless or, she ain't out there Nia Jackson them. She's actually keeping it in the confines of a wrestling appearance.
Yep.
But I mean, she brings that intensity. It's like, okay, she's doing her thing out there.
So I'm hoping to see her back at least by All In for Wembley.
That would be nice.
To see her come back in front of her home crowd over there in London.
That would be nice.
That would be great.
They did it for Paige. Why not?
Yep. Moving on, sticking with AEW for a few more minutes. Bryan Danielson, broken orbital bone.
I mean, he's still somewhat wrestling, though.
So
he's wrestling a crazy adjusted style.
Did you catch his match, though? Did you catch the New Japan match?
No, so I didn't see that, the Wrestle Kingdom match. So I didn't see that yet.
When you go to watch that match, watch it when that freaking eye patch comes off.
Uh-huh.
His eye is legitimately jacked up.
Oh, yeah. I remember when it happened. I mean, I know you remember, in the middle of a match when it happened, he just kind of laid there, and you knew Bryan wouldn't have laid out if he didn't have to. When you're looking at him, you're like, uh-oh, that ain't no storyline because he wouldn't have participated in that story. You knew something was bad. You just didn't know how bad it was.
At some point in time, dude's got to go away to get that fixed. At some point in time.
He said already that, he's on borrowed time as is, so he might just kind of be riding the rest of this year out, until he just can't go anymore, and then he might just tap.
In which, the way that dude is, I wouldn't put that past him, but dude he's a machine. I mean, good God, to be able to fight through that injury, that's crazy. Especially with still doing some of the stuff he does, your depth perception is gone.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and trying to, like you said, he's not scaling back. He's still wrestling his style of wrestling. Half being able to see. So.
Moving on to our former AEW World Heavyweight Champion, MJF.
Yep. Talk about injuries coming at a bad damn time.
Dude,
I mean, as if he didn't already have a plate full of stuff going on with the whole contract, speculation and all that. Then, at the height of his, title reign, everything. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of a quote unquote devil storyline, he's just injured, and then it's like, good Lord, you got to tap out now. Oh, speaking of the devil, did you hear CM Punk say how he was Satan himself on Monday this week?
Yes, I did. And did you see the look in his eye? Because I believed that man when he said that.
Yeah. I believe that he probably was Satan on the other channel, had his ass not left the way he did. But just an interesting dig there. And as digs went on this week, that was kind of a dig that nobody really paid attention to.
Don't take us down the dig road.
No, we're getting out of that. We're getting out of that conversation. Now, you guys could look that up on the internet. You can hear it everywhere.
For those that listen on Friday, just look on Twix and, go back to, what was it be, Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, yeah. Monday, late Monday, early Tuesday. Then it kind of spawned off from there. But, yeah, no, I'm not, like I said, we're not getting into that. But it did start on Monday Night Raw, even though nobody else really picked up on it. And I caught on it. I was like, wait a minute. He said he's who?
Said he's Satan himself.
Absolutely. Nice.
But with MJF getting hurt, brother's in his, mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, I don't know if I want to rehab it or if I want surgery because surgery's going to put me on the shelf longer. Dude, I know you're listening. Get it fixed. Don't rehab. I mean,
let's be honest. We know that contract thing's already taken care of.
We'll still be here for you.
So it ain't like he ain't going to have income coming in while he's injured. So
we'll still be here for you when you get back.
Exactly. Take that time off. Go get that stuff fixed. Otherwise, you'll be taking time off every year going to get something else fixed.
You are too much of a generational talent to not come back 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And you got a whole lot of life ahead of you that you can work on wrestling. You don't want to half-ass it coming back from an injury before you're ready. Take all the time you need to come back at 100% and then do the damn thing.
Listen to us old heads over here.
There you go. Hell, we played football last week, and I've been injured ever since. Yeah, I've been nursing injuries for 2 weeks now.
All right, let's talk about a couple high flyers real quick that have gotten themselves injured. Wesley has taken himself out of the game completely. He seems to be hurt. I don't know, was it leg, hip, what was it?
Back.
He had cane. He had a cane walking around with it.
It was all of the above. Yeah, it was. There was a lot of stuff going on, but I think he's another one that just had a multitude of injuries that just kind of caught up with him, and just because remember he had wrestled the week before, and he was supposed to wrestle the day he came out and said he had to go home. And I didn't see him get hurt that bad in that particular match that it was just like, oh my God, he's on the shelf. So I think just injuries caught up with him. He probably picked up one there and it just compounded with 2 or 3 other ones. And, it just took him down. That's what MJF did, Same difference. He didn't have just one injury in the match he wrestled. He came into that match injured and just toughed through it and, and then had to kind of dig his way out of it. But now he's got 4 or 5 different things going on there that he's got to rehab. So
another high flyer, another high flyer that went down. Rey Mysterio, he had to go have knee surgery.
Yeah. How many is that for him? Good Lord.
At least 15.
Rey's had that. Rey's had that.
I don't know, but at least 15.
At least 1 year for every year he's wrestled. He's had surgeries doing.
He went on Logan Paul's podcast and he talked about his knees, taking care of his knees and getting stem cell treatments and things like that. Now, granted, he's been in the game for a long time, and that was about the point too where he. Vikingo came into the scene on AEW, and he even reached out to Vikingo and said, "Man, you got to slow down.
Yeah,
take it from somebody like me. You got to slow down a little bit."
Yeah, which is easy to say, but if Vikingo had told 1995 Rey Mysterio the same thing,
Rey Mysterio would have not listened. No,
Rey would have kept it. Rey would have said, "Hey, thanks a lot," and kept it. Went out there and did a triple plancha, death-defying moonsault type stuff. So,
yeah. One other one that we saw recently, and this happened on live TV, Giovanni Vinci.
Yeah.
Kofi caught him with a pretty stiff kick to the head.
Yep. Sent him into concussion protocol, and now he's out on the rocks for a little while, and But kudos to Ludwig and the referee for noticing that Vinci was hurt, because I believe if I saw it right, it was Ludwig that actually threw up the X first. Could have been. I don't remember how all that transpired. I know Kofi kicked him, and when he went down, Kofi got up, and the ref was like right on top of it. The ref immediately knew something wasn't right from the way he was trying to get up, and he couldn't really move.
He connected it with the kick right on the button, right on his jaw, but then also when he landed, the way his head went,
his head snapped back.
Yeah, and that was kind of immediate, which, kudos to them. I don't mind the realism of oh shit, somebody really got hurt.
Well, I mean, wasn't that Moxley that was just,
absolutely.
He was just campaigning for that about a month or two ago. He was saying, you got to put TV to the side. You got to put
story be damned.
You know how they say bullshit to the back? You got to put that bullshit to the back. If somebody's health is in jeopardy and it's your job to recognize it. Yep. So, I mean, he called for it. He said, hey, both companies ain't really doing it. You got to, comment, got to comment when you do. Yeah. Both companies have done that at this point now. When they see an injury happen, it's like, hey, either stop the match or get that person taken care of. If the match can go on, whatever. But as long as this person gets taken care of, that's the most important. So both companies are doing it. I'm glad to see it.
Yep.
You don't want a guy out there, like Mox. After Mox got his bell rung, he went out there and took another, pile driver type thing.
Felix hit him with the same pile driver that knocked him out the first time.
Yeah. And if you remember, Mox told him, he was telling him, obviously, I want to do it. But fact of the matter is, even Mox said in his right mind a few weeks later, and that can't be in the wrestler's hands. The wrestler can't be the judge of, I'm good, let me go. No, you don't have to have a doctor come in.
Some of that was Renee, too, probably.
Probably.
When he got to the back, Renee looked at him and was like, you ever do that?
Yeah, right. Because when you're sitting there watching it, I mean, she knew his bell was wrong.
Oh, yeah, she did.
We all knew it watching at home, but he's telling the ref, you're good. The ref's in the moment like, oh, my God, what do I do? The guy says, hey, I'm good. You're like, okay, well, same way as football used to be. I mean, football used to be, guy would get his bell rung, he'd have his head be split out, his eyeball be in his hand and all that stuff. And he'd tell the ref, hold on, well, give me 1 second. He turned his head, pop something.
Pop it back in.
Yeah, take an Advil and go in there. I'm good, ref. And
go to the back, get a cortisone shot, come back out.
Ref say, oh, well, man said he's good. Then the next week when he was, dribbling juice out of his mouth at the podium in the interview, they're like, man, something might be wrong here. So, they took steps to get it. Now we have concussion protocol. Yep. Guy goes out. If he doesn't look like he's sturdy minutes after he hits the floor, he's out of the game. We're not taking that chance. Yeah, he may be fine. He may not have a concussion, but he looks like he got one. So, hell, we'll take a week to evaluate. We'll come back next week and figure it out.
So we're going to move on to the next performer, which we didn't see on live TV, but we saw the replay on live TV, and then we kind of understand what happened. That's Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this was a bad one. This was one you hate to see any injury, but this one, just as we were building to the Rumble, building to WrestleMania, you kind of saw there was going to be something that was going to be pretty big for Charlotte somewhere along the way.
I mean, you got the Jades talking about coming back. You had the Sashas talking about coming back. They ain't bringing those people back just to have some people in the Rumble. They got enough women for the Rumble. Yeah. They were talking about those names for main event spots in WrestleMania. And Charlotte had to be excited to be in one of those spots somewhere. I saw what she posted. Yeah, she's keeping track of her recovery on Instagram. But I saw when she posted about going into the surgery and saying how she had never really been scared of anything before because she does death-defying moves all the time. She said she was actually, really scared about what the other side of this is going to look like. And it made my heart go out to her like, my God, she's young still. She's never been through this.
Yeah.
She don't know what this could mean. And that's kind of, her and like Big E and some of these other people we're talking about are kind of the reason I wanted to do this show because a lot of these people haven't been injured like that. They really don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. When I was just reading her comments, where she's, you see her on TV and she's the queen. She's bigger than life, untouchable, but then when you see, the person.
You see Ashley.
Yeah, and she's like, God, I'm scared. I have no idea what's happening with my life, the whole entire rest of my life right now. I'm scared. It made me think like, man, these people that get injured, we forget about them. They go away, they, wander off. We kind of forget about them. You just kind of want to give them their flowers too. Yeah. Like, hey, we remember you. We know you're out there. We're anxiously awaiting for your return safely.
Charlotte is the type of person too, what you see on TV is the character, but she's also never been one that has not worn her heart on her sleeve, especially if you have followed her story and seen some of the biographies about her. The one thing that I will say, she made that statement about, never going through this. At some point, though, it's a consequence of what you do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they say about bull riders. It's not if you get stepped on by the bull. It's when you get stepped on by the bull. So
the difference is some people go through it a little. Some people have a broken leg or something like that. 8 to 10 weeks, they're right back in the ring. Some people, they go out and they're Randy Orton or they're Big E, where they get sick. They're out for a couple years. Unfortunately, some of them are Bray Wyatt. I mean, where you go out, you don't know what's happening, you have no clue, and then they don't come back. So, I mean, Luke Harper, guys like that. Unfortunately, so I get it when they say they're scared. Yeah, now Charlotte knows she's going to live through everything that's going to happen, right? But she has no idea what the whole entire rest of her life could look like. I mean, Andrade knows. He's like, well, I know what my life's going to look like, because he's like, since you're bedridden anyway.
No.
That's probably what he's thinking.
Here we go.
I mean,
here we go.
But she's like, I want to get in the ring and wrestle. She's like, Andrade's like, hey, I'm wrestling right now. But different conversation. But I get it. I completely understand. When you look at, a life-changing incident, and you're like, man, what does the other side look like? It's scary.
I think if anything that could have happened right before this, that was probably the best thing that happened. Her and Becky probably, when they patched things up, at least now she's got somebody to lean back on again, because, she was notorious for not having too many friends.
Yeah. So as far as we know, right?
As far as we know.
Behind the scenes, apparently she is close with a lot of people, but her circle was shrinking, right? Like Sasha was gone. We knew they were close. Sasha was kind of gone. Her and Bayley weren't, they weren't really doing anything with each other on social media and that. Her and Nia Jax have been really, really great, which is awesome, because, Nia causes a lot of the injuries that we've talked about in the past, so I guess it's kind of par for the course that those two are friends. That makes sense.
We got a few more here on the list that we want to get to real quick before we wrap it up. Liv Morgan. Liv has been out for a long, long time. She apparently has been ready to return, but I think they're waiting to Rumble to pull the trigger on that.
Probably.
At
least we know she's been self-medicating, though, because I mean,
hey, in this day and age, man, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
Hey, I've heard a lot of people say it helps with pain, so I get it. So I ain't mad at you.
As we get older, that's all I'm saying.
True. As an aside, I know we're smoking, but man, did you see that mugshot? My God, I was injured myself when I saw that. I was like, man.
So I had an internal clock going on in my head of how long it's going to take you to get to that.
I don't believe we haven't talked about it before. That should have been a show topic. But whew, Lord, like I said, I almost injured myself when I saw it. I was walking up the stairs and I looked and almost fell down the damn stairs. I said, Lord, if I'd have caught that at the top step, I'd have went tumbling back down. Hell, we'd be doing that. I'd be on a gurney doing this show.
You done got me.
Did you pop?
You done got me. Good God Almighty.
Somebody
come get Frank, please.
Liv, she come and get Frank right now. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, so I will throw you another bone here while we're at it.
Yep, there we go.
Britt Baker is out.
Yep. Well, so I don't really know what her injury was. It didn't happen on TV as far as my understanding. She just kind of faded. We know it ain't a dental injury. I mean, she'd have had that taken care of right now. She'd have had that fixed right away, but just another one, a character that just kind of left. And again, we didn't want to forget these people.
Yeah, so I mean, it's their prerogative that they want to keep things, kind of close to the vest, so to speak.
It is. She can do what she wanted to do.
It's my prerogative.
My bad. Sorry, I mind wandered there.
The last one that's kind of been out for a while, Raquel Gonzalez. She's been out for a while. I did see something on her, which she has some sort of a medical condition going on right now where she's dealing with hives that kind of pop up here and there. Yeah. And that's kind of scary. Some of the videos that she showed was kind of scary. And not only to her, but to everybody else we've talked about, God bless you. Hope you come back better and stronger than ever. But man, I don't know, that was a little scary what she's going through.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. I mean, speaking of that in context, her significant other, I don't know if it's still, I've heard rumors of either way. It could be off or whatnot. Braun Strowman, I mean, he's been gone for over a year at this point now, just another, a lot of these people though that we're talking about are your main event people. A lot of the names that we mentioned are former heavyweight champions of their respective promotions. I mean, almost the majority of them have held, their respective world title. And just today, every name that we announced is out. I mean, you know, we got some people that came back lately, like Randy Orton, you know, Daniel Bryan from, you know, to a point. But everybody that we named, you know, that I could think of, maybe sans a couple, are former world champions that today won't be wrestling in WrestleMania or won't be wrestling in the upcoming AEW pay-per-view just because they're out on the shelf. And I mean, you know, again, we don't want people to think that they're forgotten about. We want to make sure that, you know, we still see you, we still miss you, but you know, take care of yourselves. Got to be more careful.
Got to be more careful. And I think in this day and age, if anything that you can do, you know, self-care, self-wellness, you know, whether it be, who was it that said that they spent like so much money on that? Was it NFL player? Was it Brady that said millions of dollars each year on
Tom
his
Brady's
body?
got like a machine going on in his house, you know, where he had to go through a full recovery process, especially as he got older. He had to go through a full, you know, reconditioning process on his body after every game so he'd be able to get into the next week.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys, you know, maybe they need to start looking into things like that.
Yeah, and you know, their salaries may not be the same to be able to do that, but even at that, you know, at least you're starting to see, like we talked about a while ago, you're starting to see organizations try to step up and take care of their talent and make sure that, you know, if they get hurt in the ring, they're stopping the match, things like that. But so everybody that we've named, if we missed anybody that we didn't name, you know, prayers go out to you. Hope you heal up soon, you know, and we want to see you back in that ring because, as we've said before, we are wrestling fans, and everybody that we've listed had something to bring to the ring and just kind of amazed us, you know, as
there's
fans.
a reason we miss them.
Exactly. So kudos to you guys. Hope you get well soon. And thank you for listening to our podcast today. We appreciate it. Like we said last week, we kicked off season 2. So I hope you guys are enjoying the format and everything we got going on. So drop us a line on our social media platforms. If you have any other suggestions, if you want some topics you want us to cover, feel free to drop us a line. But we appreciate you guys listening. And with that, everybody, we bid you adieu.
Got to be more careful.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.